Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful, fantabulous, and mystical day. My name is Emmanuel Aguilar, aka Mysticfox 4, and if you don't know who I am, I'm an artist, illustrator, and character designer who makes artwork and occasionally posts it online. I want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching the recent episodes. You guys are the best, and hopefully, you guys like this week's haul of characters and artworks and all that jazz. We have a special guest on this episode, kind of like we've had on the last two, or last, like maybe two episodes ago. By the name of Kurito. Say hello to the people, Kurito.
Hey, people.
He he is my boy. He's my art boy, my baby boy. And he's gonna be kind of talking a little bit on the side uh, of like the artworks and whatnot. So definitely check his stuff out. Link will be down in the description below. So without further ado, let's look at this week's haul. So, we're starting off with Oscar Ibanez. It's a really cool artist. He has this 3D type stuff with zombies. If you guys aren't familiar with zombie things, I am a zombie fanatic. I'm actually working on a zombie card game, kind of like I've said in a million other times. Never show you guys any of that stuff because I want to develop it, and then that way we can all play it together. But this episode is going to be dedicated to zombie type artwork. So, if you are squeamish, blah blah blah, don't like gore, then I would click off right now. So, Oscar Ibanez, he does a lot of really cool 3D stuff. He I like the way that he sculpts it and like the way that he concepted out like kind of the zombie creature where it's like a king and he has like a mouth like in the chest, kind of like a parasite type monster. And then I don't know what's the idea around the right arm, like why it's inside of a cage, but I do like the idea where it's like he has a cage around that arm because if he doesn't, then it'll just be unleashed. So maybe like as he fights with that arm, he'll like break that chain, and then it'll just turn into this giant like tentacle like eating mouth thing. I think would be really cool. But I also like how he kind of introduced a little bit of the whole king aesthetic with the crown and the little bracelet on the little hand. I also like the fact that he has that little hand, so it kind of shows like, oh, it's a mutation rather than like, he was like it shows a little bit more of his human side, like he used to be a human. And then the thing with his legs, just he's just a chunky boy. I just like it. Any comments, Kirito?
Uh, yeah, like uh, I think it's like very chaotic.
Yeah,
I would say like if like if we take out like the golden bracelet and the what is it like the crown and maybe like if we change the way like the legs, I could totally like it reminds me of Nemesis. I was trying to say, right?
Nemesis. I like
you know
Nemesis.
from
I think the chaotic nature of that character it
yeah
helps the character's like intimidation factor. I do think it's really weird that he threw it in League of Legends though. Like the
yeah.
screenshot. I don't know what that was about, but I think that's interesting. I do like the turnaround that he did for it though, with the little GIF thing, or maybe it's not a GIF, maybe it's just like a video, um, where you can kind of see the character as a turnaround. I think that's really interesting. I might use that for some character stuff later on. Not like I'm gonna like steal it, but just to kind of see how it goes, does a turnaround thing. Um, but this was a really interesting character. I like the way that it has its weird intimidating factor. I really like the fact that it doesn't actually have a head. Like it has like a head thing, but the bottom part of the mouth is also the chest, which I haven't seen very much before. Like usually when they do that, it's like they have a mouth on top and the mouth on the bottom. Where in this one, it's just like it's just one big mouth, and that's cool. All right, so now we're going to be moving on to the next one, which is Paul Mafayon. I think that's how you say his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kirito. I really
No.
like this character. It's very cartoony, very much in the style of the fun aesthetic that I like in just artwork in general and like card games and things like that. It's very whimsical. It's very reminiscent of Hearthstone, um, and it just feels right. Now, Paul is also an artist on, I believe, Hearthstone. He does a couple different things on that project. But he also has a lot of really cool and interesting zombie stuff that if you haven't seen, I would definitely recommend to you to check out. He does this really cool texture thing on top of all of the artwork that I think is something that I need to start doing after I finish the whole piece, which basically gives it that kind of a papery look to it, or it makes everything kind of blend together. And it's something that I used to do a really long time ago, but then I stopped doing it because I figured I needed to focus on being a little bit cleaner rather than polishing something that wasn't finished. Which is, something that he does not struggle with at all in the slightest. I really like that he used a stop sign for the weapon, though, as a side note. But I do feel that because he's like a police guard, he should have the baton. I think that would have been it would have still been in the realm of a zombie, or he's using a hand of somebody else. I do think that that would be a little bit more his character. Or
I
if he,
think I think
uh-huh.
I think the sign like it jumps more to the intention also because like
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's like
I think so too.
it's yeah, it's more memorable because also it's a red object, so
Mm,
it makes you want to look at it because like I don't know if you saw like in some concept art and stuff they use like red for you to look at it because red is a color that it's like really
yeah, it's a strong color. It's impactful.
colors your not color calls your attention to it.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think so too. I think the decision to make it red. Then again, you could also throw blood on like anything, and then
Yeah,
make it.
yeah, yeah, but it's like the weapon, so you
Hmm.
wanna like.
I feel you. I feel you. I dig it. All right. So, any comments, or anything you want to add to the stuff that I had
Uh,
already?
no, it's like I also want to use like that texture like paper thing. I was like also looking to it because I've seen some art, but I tried doing it, but it looked like
Hmm.
so the texture. I don't know if it is like a something that they put like above, like in another layer, or if it is
Yeah.
something that you modify with something
No.
like
So
a blur.
it's a layer on top of everything, and then you make it into a texture, and then you drop the intensity of it. Or you could make like a texture specifically on specific things. Like let's say you
Hmm.
see in the background, you see how there's those little dots. So that's like
Yeah.
a brush. So you can do that on top of that, give it like a specific color, and then change like its layer property. So you can do like a screen or whatever, just so that it pops out a little bit differently in the background. Um, I'm a big fan of doing it on all of the artwork, like over the entire piece, just because it brings everything together. It's kind of like when you put like a layer of like a color over anything and then you just drop its opacity a little bit and change the layer thing. Similar to that, only it has like a texture to it, so it kind of helps it a little bit in a weird way. But you could always just erase the stuff that doesn't work, like in certain areas. So it's
Hmm.
kind of a push and pull kind of thing, process. But I do really like it, and it's something I definitely need to play with a little bit more. All right. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is going to be a fairly interesting one by Alexander Shatohin. I believe that's how you say it. If it's not, I'm very sorry. But this artwork in particular, I want to give you guys a precursor to. So you know how we were previously looking at zombies. So these are, I believe, witch hunters. But what's really cool about these characters is that they use a zombie as a lackey, right? And that idea and that concept is just really cool to me. And it's something that when I was actually looking for like different stuff, was something that like I knew people would do, but I didn't know how people would execute. Whereas in this one, they don't have him like chained up like to another character. He's his own character. So I'm curious to see how they actually move around with this character. Does he just naturally follow him? And if so, why doesn't he have a ball gag on? Or like a face, mask so he doesn't bite anyone? Um because his hands are tied, so technically, yeah, he can't actually hurt anybody, but he has a mouth, so I don't know how that would work. But the characters are also really well executed, very crispy. You can see he has that the in the first one he has a little case thing with It's like a coffin thing, right? It's like a broken little coffin. I have no
Yeah,
idea what kind of magic he uses. I'm probably gonna lean on the whole necromancy side just because he has a zombie
yeah, yeah.
lackey.
I also feel the same.
Yeah, because it's a little coffin, right? And then
Yeah,
I
he
do.
also has like a little. I was going to point out like he also has like the little necklace thing going on. Like
Is it what's on the necklace though?
it feels it like it makes me think is like a little like of the other thing that is also in the. I don't know. It makes me
Oh,
so if you look at the coffin, you can see like a little hand coming out of it.
oh, there
If you
is a
look at
little
it.
hand. That's
Yeah, so it's
cool.
like a spirit, something like that. So like
Hmm.
I feel like because of the color, it's probably something like along the lines
Something to do with
also
that.
with the
Hmm.
necklace. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It would not go over my head if that's what that was the case. That seems very reasonable. I also really like that he didn't go over the top with the glowy stuff. Normally when they have like these kinds of characters that have like some magical item, they're like glowing all over the place. Where he just has kind of like one place that's kind of glowing and then everything else is just like, he's just a human. Um, but I really, really, really dig the second one. The second one is really cool. Because he doesn't use magic. He's literally the brute, you know? And so I
Hmm.
really like the idea of like he has a bunch of different weapons on his belt, and then he has like that big thing that he uses to grab the zombies and like like control them, and he has the handcuffs. Like I just like the big broody characters. I think they're really interesting.
Big size
Yeah,
nutcracker.
yeah, big size everything, Like he's just a big bulky guy. But I do like that he didn't go over the top with the bulky. Like you know how sometimes with character designs they like make them ginormous. They're literally like a
Hmm.
rectangle and then they're like little legs. I really like how he like did a happy medium where it's like the first character is like a little scrawnier and then he's like a little bit like more beefy. And then the zombie's super scrawny, which is a really nice touch. I really like how he did the zombies like holding more weapons for this guy, and then also just the fact that he's just carrying general stuff like sleeping bags and stuff like that, which I think is really funny for a zombie to be carrying like sleeping bags and like just food because they don't need that. So it's just kind of like one of those like paradoxical kind of things, I guess. I don't know if that's even the right word to use, but um, with that being said, I really also like the presentation on the final image. I think the presentation really helps push out the silhouettes of all of the characters and gives a little bit of context to like their footing, like what their shadows would look like. I think that's really nice. I do really like the very subtle textures that they use inside of the background. It's something that I need to definitely check out more with textures because I'm noticing a lot that like people use very specific textures for different things. Like backgrounds, you want to use like more subtle stuff, but like foreground, you use like stuff that pops more. Like if you're doing stuff on a character, you want like that texture to be like crispy and like look right. And I think that that's really interesting to definitely check out more of. I also really like on the bag of the zombie. I don't know if you see on the bottom half, but it's actually gradient. Like it's lighter at the bottom,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I noticed that.
and
I
it's to
noticed.
punch out the silhouette of the legs, which I
Hmm.
totally like I didn't even notice at first. But I think that they might be separated by layers, but I don't know where they'd be separated by layers. Probably not. Probably he just lasso tooled it. I would probably
Yeah.
have to zoom in to check that out, but that's definitely a really cool find. But just seeing how people do different things is just really interesting. Anything to
Hmm.
add?
No, no. This pretty much was like from the three. This one was probably like my favorite one. Uh,
Yeah, it just did so much with character design that like I hadn't quite, maybe not so much that I didn't notice it, but stuff that was a little bit more on the subtle side opposed to like the over the top. Because like a lot of artists kind of tend to lean towards one thing or another, but I like how this artist kind of like identified that he could lean a little bit too far, so he wanted to keep it at a very subtle point.
hmm.
But I dig that. I also like the way that he designed the clothing, where it's like there's like leather and then cloth, and you know very clearly by the color and the way it folds and stuff, like what it is, and that's something that I definitely need to practice and like look into a little bit more too. It's just really dope. All right, guys.
Mhm.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, you guys saw some stuff that you're definitely going to check out or that you want to integrate into your own work. If you liked the stuff in the video, I can't stress it enough. Leave a like on the video, share it with a friend, show your dog, show your cat, show your auntie and aunt. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button because YouTube will not notify you if you don't hit the bell icon as well. So, if you like the stuff here presented, it's going to be down in the description below. You can definitely check it out and check it out for yourself. See what you like in the piece. If you want to check out either my work or my boy KURITO's work, you can check the description down below as well. It will have the link to our socials. I only really link my Instagram. I don't really link anything else. But if you want to check that out, go ahead and do so. As always, guys, don't forget to stay mystical.
See ya.